Welcome back. Today, we're diving into a brand new explainer, and we're taking a hard scientific look at the literal foundation of your garden, the soil. We're going to compare a vibrant, living universe of dark earth that is just teeming with microscopic life against, well, a dull pile of dirt inside a generic plastic bag. And honestly, what you're about to see might completely change how you pot your plants from here on out.
So, we're setting up an investigation to answer the ultimate question. When you buy a fresh bag of premium potting mix, are you actually planting in a dead, sterile wasteland? Look, we've all been there. It's super frustrating. You bring home a gorgeous new houseplant, you buy the fancy bagged soil, you water it perfectly, and it still struggles. Or maybe your patio tomatoes are just totally underperforming. You might be blaming your own green thumb. But what if the problem is the medium itself? Is that store-bought dirt literally biologically dead?
To figure this out, I'm running a direct comparison. I'm taking living garden soil from an established no-till bed and putting it head-to-head against a super popular brand of bagged potting mix. On the left side of our test, we've got soil that hasn't been disturbed for over 3 years. Because it's no-till, the organic matter has just been concentrating, and the earthworms are absolutely thriving. I mean, we're talking sometimes up to 120,000 worms per acre. But on the right, we've got a fresh, sealed bag of commercial mix straight off the store shelf.
Okay, so before we get to the actual test results, we need to understand the science behind what we're looking for. What actually makes soil living in the first place? Well, the sheer scale of what we're dealing with is kind of mind-blowing. Did you know that a single gram of true, living, forest-quality soil contains anywhere from 1 to 10 billion bacteria? Seriously, 1 to 10 billion in a tiny pinch of dirt. That's an entire underground metropolis, working tirelessly for your plants. These bacteria are constantly grazing, eating up organic matter, and incredibly, they recycle nitrogen. They grab what they need and release the extra right back into the soil, perfectly prepped for your plant roots to slurp it up. It is literally the most powerful nitrogen cycling engine on the planet. All of this massive biological activity creates what scientists actually call a microbial fire. Picture this bustling, hyper-competitive environment where billions of microbes are constantly processing organic matter, burning through root exudates, and just fiercely competing for resources. And here's why that matters for you. This fire locks up the nutrients, keeping them away from soil-borne pathogens. It's basically your plant's absolute first line of defense. The hotter this microbial fire burns, the greater the natural suppression of plant diseases. It's a built-in, self-sustaining immune system right there in the ground.
Now, contrast that with how manufacturers put together those bagged mixes. Take a look at the bag of the bag sometime. You'll see structurally supportive but completely inert components. You've got your peat moss or cocoa coir to hold moisture, perlite or vermiculite to help it drain, and then synthetic fertilizers. Notice what's missing? There's absolutely zero biology in there. They're just building a physical structure to hold your plant upright, and then they're forcing synthetic chemicals to do all the heavy lifting for nutrient delivery. It completely bypasses that amazing natural biological engine we just talked about. So why is it completely dead? Well, it turns out manufacturers intentionally sterilize these commercial mixes. They heat the soil up to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 100 degrees Celsius, for a solid 30 minutes. They do this to kill off any potential plant pathogens, weed seeds, or pest eggs. And, to be fair, it's a cheap insurance policy for them. If you've ever dealt with an incredibly annoying fungus gnat infestation from a bad batch of indoor soil, it's a headache you definitely want to avoid. But here's the devastating trade-off. That intense sterilization process absolutely obliterates the delicate ecosystem your plants rely on to thrive. As our source material puts it so perfectly, what you end up with is basically dirt-flavored styrofoam. Yeah, it might hold water and it'll hold the plant up, but it is biologically vacant. You are entirely missing those billions of bacteria, the essential nutrient recyclers, and that fiercely protective microbial fire. All right, so let's get into the great soil experiment. It's time to reveal the results across our 3 key testing metrics. The results from our first 2 tests are just undeniable. First, we looked at microbial biomass in a petri dish. The living soil side? It was absolutely bursting with colorful, multiplying bacterial colonies. Those are the billions of microscopic workers we were talking about. But the sterile soil side? Just a totally barren, empty dish. Next up, we measured CO2 respiration, which essentially tells us how hot that microbial fire is burning. The gauge for the living soil was totally pinned in the green zone, showing super high activity and a rapid biological burn. The sterile soil? Flatlined, straight zero. Nobody is home. And this next visual brilliantly illustrates our third test. What we're looking at here is an actual view through a microscope lens. We used a specific scientific staining method, a mix of ink and vinegar that turns fungal structures bright blue. Now look closely at the left. That's a plant root grown in our living soil, and it is heavily colonized, just wrapped in this thick, blue-stained spiderweb-like fungal network. Now look at the right. That root grew in the sterile potting mix, and it is entirely bare. It's out there completely alone in the dirt. Those missing fungal threads are called arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, or AMF, and they are absolutely critical for plant health. They create what is basically the Avatar effect. Think about those glowing, interconnected root networks in the movie Avatar. These microscopic fungal threads do exactly that. They extend your plant's root system by anywhere from 10 to 100 times its normal size. They squeeze into tiny, microscopic soil pores that regular roots just physically can't fit into, scavenging for water and nutrients from far away to trade back to the host plant. Because of this partnership, nutrient uptake efficiency gets boosted by up to 3 times. Without this fungal network, your plant is stuck doing all the heavy lifting completely by itself.
So, what does this all mean for you? Well, it brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, activating your dead soil. How do we bring it back to life? If that freshly bought bag of potting mix is biologically dead, just a flatlined, barren wasteland missing those incredible fungal networks, you have to actively reverse that sterilization process yourself. You've got to activate it. Here's how you do it in 3 steps. Step 1, inject high-quality organic matter right into the mix, like premium worm castings or a really well-aged compost. This brings in the base biology and the food they need to eat. Step 2, inoculate the soil with commercial arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi so you can kickstart that massive Avatar-style root network. And step 3, you need to feed those newly introduced microbes with diverse mineral components, things like rock dust and kelp meal. Just like plants, microbes need trace minerals to actually thrive and reproduce. And this helps your soil hold on to nutrients instead of just washing them right out the bottom of the pot. By taking just these 3 simple steps, you're not planting in inert dirt anymore. You're jumpstarting a dynamic, living ecosystem that's going to defend your plants, recycle nutrients, and drive some seriously explosive growth. You are reigniting that microbial fire. So the question I want to leave you with today as we wrap up this explainer is this. Now that you know exactly what's hiding, or more accurately, what is entirely missing, inside that commercial bag of soil, are you going to change how you treat your potted plants from here on out? Seriously, are you ready to stop planting in dirt-flavored styrofoam?